All right. Um, this is the first solo episode, so it might be very rough, but I wanted to get something out there. I've recorded this a lot of times, and um, yeah, I just want to get something out there. Um, I've been struggling. I've been struggling quite a bit. Actually, first, let me. I want to talk about what these solo episodes are going to be about. Right. I want to do a solo episode every month, and I want to use it as a way to track the development of my ideas and just where I'm at. I think at any point in my life when I go through something, I learn. I obviously learn something, but my ideas change, and I want to have documentation of that. I want to see myself struggle through something. I want to see myself coming out of something, and I want to see myself reflect on it and be able to learn from it. I've mentioned this in one of my TikToks, but the reason why I don't like a lot of the self improvement creators on the on YouTube on anything right now is really because I feel like I haven't seen them struggle. I feel like all of a sudden they come out of nowhere and feel like they have or start sharing solutions and start sharing stories about how they did once struggle. But I feel like I would find their story and I would find their advice much more inspiring, and I would take it more to heart if I was actually went through that struggle with them, right? And that's kind of what I want to be for others, but what I want to be for myself and for my future self as well, right? Because I want to be able to look back on these things and see how I grew, okay, if I'm going to be vulnerable, I guess I'll have to be vulnerable about everything that I'm struggling through. But the past year and a half has been really rough for me. Um, I spiraled and I got really in my head about certain stuff, and I um, I was so unhappy, and I was so stuck in my head, and um, I was in a funk that I couldn't get out of. That I was recommended to see a psychiatrist, and um, I guess fuck it. I guess I gotta share what I went through, but I think the main thing that I struggled with was my body image, um, and specifically my hair. I think my hair has been a very big part of my identity, but I've noticed it changing. I've noticed um, it maybe thinning a little bit, just maybe making it just a little harder to style. It just wasn't what it used to be a couple years ago, and I spiraled. I freaked out. I'm 22, and before I never even thought about losing my hair or going bald, or just because my family really, I don't really see many examples, right? My dad still has hair. Um, that doesn't matter, but I just never imagined myself losing my hair, and um, that was coincided with a hormonal problem, a thyroid problem that I had, which probably contributed to the depression and anxiety, and um, I had really low energy, so I couldn't exercise like I wanted to. But um, yeah, I started really spiraling and freaking out about me losing my hair. Um, and since then, I don't think my hair has changed too much. But um, yeah, that about a year and a half ago, I really struggled with that. I got on some antidepressants. depression has been a pretty big part of my life, especially the past year and a half. But it's been something that I've gotten a lot more curious about because um, I can't seem to manage it. I can't seem to manage my depression. And I think a part of that, right, is I don't look forward to the next decade. I don't look forward to the next 2 decades. And maybe 2 decades is a little long. I think I'm scared of probably the main thing, and honestly, it still sticks to me a little bit, is I'm not looking forward to how I'll look in 5 years, because I might be bald. I might not have hair. I might. The thing is, if I do lose my hair, I'll probably get a wig or I'll probably get a transplant or something. But I'm just not looking forward to the process of losing hair, if I lose my hair for the next couple of years. And I think that translates a lot to other things in my life where I feel like I'm at the beginning of so many things. I feel like I'm at the beginning of my career, of dating, of navigating friendships, of becoming an adult, that it's overwhelming. It really does get overwhelming sometimes. And for some reason, because I don't look forward to myself in a couple years, I want to give up sometimes. As I say this, I'm wondering if I just sound. I gotta be politically correct on this, but I feel like I sound fucking really dumb. Um, and who knows, I might sound dumb, but this is kind of what's going on in my head. Um, but I've gotten a lot better with the antidepressants and with lifestyle changes where I'm finally doing things that I like. I love personal training. I'm helping out people, and um, I couldn't be happier doing that. I have this podcast where I'm very happy to. This is my baby. This is what I feel like I'm meant to do, to share, to be vulnerable, but to encourage others to be vulnerable as well. Um, and with those lifestyle changes, I've gotten a lot better, but I still struggle with depression a lot and quite frequently, to be honest. Um, and the past week has been pretty bad, where um, the past week has been pretty bad, where there would be times where I'll come home, I'll have a good day, um, and I'll just get hit with sudden depression, right? I'll just feel like, why am I doing all this? I'll have a mini existential crisis, and the end of the existential crisis comes to I don't look forward to the next couple of years. Yeah, but I think I like to think that my depression is pretty logical right now. Um, and what I mean by logical is I'm stuck in these negative thought patterns where I convince myself of one thing, um, and I um, try to reason through everything that I'm struggling with, and all I can think of is how depressing the next couple of years will be. And um, yeah, I don't. This is another thing, by the way, about being vulnerable is as I think of as I think of people watching this, I think, why am I putting this out there, right? Is it because I want pity? Is it because I want um, people to feel bad for me? Is it because I want people to empathize with me? Is it because I want people to understand what I'm going through? And I'm not completely sure, but I do know that I don't want to be pitied, and I don't want to feel like other people are feeling bad for me, right? I think that hurts my ego, but I think the main purpose of this, as I said, is not for others to feel bad, but just to show an accurate representation of what I'm going through right now, so that when I come out on the other side, hopefully other people can look at these videos, and I can look at these videos, and people I love can look at these videos and be able to track my progress and feel inspired by that. Um, yeah, but I'll have times throughout the week where I'll just want to give up on everything. Like I just want to. I don't care about my body. I don't care about my career. I'll be homeless. Like I have these thoughts where maybe I don't think about suicide. I think I romanticize suicide to where, oh, like this one thing can end all my problems. But that's a thought pattern that I get into pretty often. I'm not too proud of that. And when that type of depression hits me, when I want to give up, I do one of two things in that instance: either eat, or I smoke weed. Um, I've been trying to cut down on the weed because it doesn't make me feel good. Um, if anything, it makes me feel anxious. So I'm not smoking. I'm I'm barely smoking weed now, but in those rare times where I feel like I need it, I'll do it. Um, and what I used to do before is I used to get that out by playing basketball, right? I used to be able, when I felt that way, to go out, hoop, get all my frustrations out, get um, through just doing something that I love. But I haven't been able to do that because of a back injury, and I don't feel like I have a productive way to displace all that displeasure in my life. Um, so that's something I'm working on. I realize that when I get frustrated and I get depressed, I do things that are harmful to myself, and hopefully my back heals up. I'm doing recovery and I'm doing rehab, so hopefully it's a matter of time. But that's where I'm at right now. Um, Another topic I wanted to discuss is dating. I think I started dating for the first time about a couple months ago, and I realize I'm not built for it right now. Um, I don't think I'm built for all the rejection that I could face. Um, Actually, I think it's less about the rejection, but because I've gone a little numb to that. I've gotten comfortable with getting rejected, but I feel I'm definitely not ready for a committed relationship. Um, and I realize how hard it is to find someone you want to be in a committed relationship with. Because it is my first time dating, I feel like I really crave romantic validation, right? I really crave someone be wanting to be with me, right? Being interested in me. And I feel like once I get that, then I'm not so interested in them anymore. And I realize that's not a healthy place to be, right? I want my interest, and I want my affection, and I want my I want to be interested in someone and be able to commit to them. I want to be able to um, I want to be able to completely be I want to be able to be authentic in everything I do, which also means if I'm going on dates, I need to be interested in them, which I don't think I'm interested in people right now. I'm interested in, again, just that romantic validation. The reason why I freaked out so much about my hair was that I feel like if I lose my hair, then I'm not going to be, it's going to be harder for me to find a meaningful romantic relationship. And it might be, um, but um, I think I'm at a place where I'm really craving intimacy, and I don't know if I believe, well, it's definitely real, but I I hate the whole like childhood trauma type shit because I feel like that's just such a trope in I feel like in a way it's just a way of making an excuse for yourself. Um, but it's definitely real. Childhood trauma is definitely real. And I think one of the things that I struggle with from my childhood is feeling like my appearance is responsible for my rejection or me not getting things that I want. Right? I think with I grew up with friends and I grew up with people around me that seemed to get the things that I wanted, right? They seemed to be able to date in middle school. They seemed to be able to make friends really easily. They seemed to be able to um, do all these things so easily. And I, for whatever reason, I thought that they could do that. And they did get that because of how much better they looked than me. Um, as I say that out loud, that sounds dumb as hell, but I think that's still something that I um, I struggle with right now, to where I feel like if my appearance is a certain way, then I'll be limited in all the things that I want to do in the world. Um, but I think at the end of the day, right, it all comes down to wanting intimacy. And I think that's why I started on the struggle of vulnerability in the first place, where um, that's why I started in this journey of vulnerability in the first place, because I wasn't happy with the relationships in my life. Um, I wasn't happy with how I was portraying myself to the world, and so I feel as though doing this will help me create more meaningful connections with people and be more intimate with people. But yeah, um, that's what I've been struggling with as of recent. Um, yeah, that was a clusterfuck of just my thoughts. Another thing I want to talk about is my self-image, and I think it goes back to my need for romantic validation, right? But I think that I don't view myself as I have a very critical self-image and of myself in many things, and I started reading this book, Cybernetics, but I realized my self-image. But I realized my self-image is getting in the way of my progress towards my goals. Um, and that might sound weird, right? But for example, I view myself as, for whatever reason, as someone that can't be romantically loved for some reason. And I think I say for some reason when I get really awkward. Um, I, as viewing myself as someone that can't be romantically loved because I haven't been romantically loved before, every time I get rejected by someone, um, it feeds into that insecurity of mine, right? Um, and so that's also another thing where I'm struggling with, where I talked about desire in one of my TikToks, where we all have desires, but sometimes the best way to get rid of them and to really get over them, to realize that that's not what I need or that's not even what I want, is to pursue them and get it, right? Um, like a lot of people think, for example, I thought getting a new car was going to make me really happy, but it did for a little bit and it didn't. And so now I don't care too much about, I feel like that example um, made me numb to these materialistic desires of mine. And so I think a part of me wonders if I need to chase that romantic validation to heal my self-image of being someone that can be loved, or if that's something I can do by myself. Um, yeah, that's one thing I wanted to touch on real quick is my self-image, where I have very negative conceptions of myself, and every time something goes wrong, I it's like confirmation bias, right? It keeps feeding that self-belief mechanism, and that it keeps feeding that self-image, and um, I get very nihilistic and very depressed, and I don't look forward to the future. Um, a couple things I want to talk about before I wrap up is I've had instances in the past month where I've felt very insecure about my journey, right? I dropped out of college, and when I'm meeting new people, when I'm meeting someone on the golf course, someone that I respect, someone that I want to earn their approval, um, I I get really insecure about where I am in my life. And I want to touch upon one thing where about the romantic validation, right? I want people to like me even if I don't like them. That's something that has confused me recently as to why, right? Um, even if even if I'm not interested in someone romantically, I still want them to be romantically interested in me, and that goes for my friendships as well, and a lot of other things. I'm still trying to process why that is, but I have a, I have a, I feel like it has something to do with my self-image. Um, yeah, but I feel very insecure about my journey. Um, Number one being the fact that I dropped out. Um, and that's something I'm working on. Hopefully, that's something. And I don't think it's always a bad thing to be insecure. I think it can fire you up. It can motivate you, but during those times where I want to give up, it only feeds into me wanting to give up, right? So I'm trying to work on how to process that in a way where I feel confident, and maybe I won't ever get truly confident about that. Maybe that will be something forever part of my identity until I go back to school or until I'm successful in whatever I do. But um, yeah, that's something I've been struggling with. Okay, I want to wrap this up. I want to end each solo episode with 3 things that I'm proud of myself for. Because if I'm on this journey of self love, and if I'm on this journey of accepting myself and being the best version I can be, I think I need to have more positive thoughts in my life, in my head. So the first thing I'm pretty proud of myself for is the fact that I started dating. I've been really insecure to date. I think for all the reasons that I listed before, but um, I'm proud that I've started to date. I took that leap. I feel like I'm not afraid to approach girls. I feel like I'm not afraid to shoot my shot anymore. Um, and I don't feel like rejection bothers me too much. And that might be because I haven't truly gone after a girl yet that I've truly liked. And so maybe that's why rejection doesn't bother me so hard yet. But um, yeah, I'm very proud of myself for. It took me 22 years, but I'm proud of myself for finally getting out there and um, trying to. I realize it's a journey, and it's gonna take work, and it's gonna take practice of me dating people and seeing who I like, seeing what I like, what I don't like. But I'm proud of that journey. Number 2, I think I'm proud of this right now. Um, my hair and opening up about that has been. I don't even know if I'm gonna post this, but um, I'm proud of myself for releasing that, because I think that's currently my biggest insecurity, and um, I'm sticking true to my word about being vulnerable, because that's what scares me the most, to be vulnerable about. Um, and number 3, fuck, I don't know. We might have to do only 2 things for this month, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but if you've listened to even a part of it, if you've listened to the whole thing of this, I really do appreciate you. I've appreciated all the support that I've gotten from the podcast. I've had people reach out to me saying that they've been inspired, and I think that is truly the greatest compliment that I can receive, that I've inspired you. And um, yeah, oh, one more thing. I think a lot of my depression it's been really bad that past couple weeks, but I think it's because I haven't been able to put any podcast episodes out. And so hopefully, because this is my passion project, this is my baby, this is what I like to do, I love to do. Um, Hopefully next month, as I release more episodes and do more interviews and kind of get my creative juices flowing, that I'll have a better month. Um, there's some hope. Yeah. I hope that wasn't too depressing. No, actually, I do hope that was hella depressing, because it's kind of where I've been at. But yeah, I appreciate all the support. If you watched any part of my video or my podcast or anything, and yeah, I'll see you guys next month.